Not really adding anything to this, just it's been almost a week since we were last in school because of the weather. So, gotta kind of get this back down again. Test on this unit on Friday. So let's start with this one. We got an object is launched upwards at 3 meters per second. The object was launched 215.6 meters. We need to use that function there. Asking what interval is the height decreasing? So go ahead and get an answer on that one. Notice instead of the negative 16, the negative 16 is used when we're dealing with feet. This one's dealing with meters. That's what the difference is. The answer. No? Yeah, that sounds right. All right, so when we have our parabola, what you have is a shape that looks like that. When it's graphed, in this case, I don't know, it's going to look something kind of along the lines of that. Depending on how you zoom out or in on Desmos, it's probably going to be a little more narrow because has some higher numbers. What we're looking for, it's decreasing. So when we look at the picture here, you can tell it's decreasing from the top, the maximum, all the way on to the right. In the case of a problem like this, though, like realistically, what we're talking about is, when it gets to zero, because you're talking about something going to hit the ground eventually. 4 is from the maximum to where it hits the ground. So we're looking for the vertex, which we could get by doing opposite of B over 2A. So that'd be negative 34.3 over negative 4.9 times 2. Or again, you can look on Desmos and see what point that is. But the x value is what we're looking at. The x value will be 3.5. Then you're looking for that 0 right there. Again, Desmos shows it to you. That 0 there is at 11. So when you talk about an interval, you're talking about the range of the x values. So we're going from 3.5 to 11. So another one, a little bit different. Just looking for when the object hits the ground. Same drill, we got the meters this time again. Who thinks I got this one? For how long does the object hit the ground? 6 seconds is correct. All right, so exact same kind of scenario as the last one. When you graph these on Desmos, there's 4 main points that they'll give you on the graph. They'll give you the 2 zeros, which could also be like the x-intercepts. They'll give you the y-intercept, which is like the starting height on these types of problems. And they'll give you the maximum or the minimum if it was flipped the other way. And any one of these problems is basically going to be answered with one of those 4 points. So that's usually going to be the easiest thing to do each time. Just kind of put it into Desmos, get those dots that way when you have the calculator. So let's look at this one. It's a little bit different. We got John Deere Company has found that revenue from sales of heavy-duty tractors is a function of the unit price P that it charges. The function for revenue is modeled by that equation there. What unit price P should be charged to maximize the revenue? Bigger numbers. Who can give me the answer? Brian? No. Adrian? 1900. All right, so we're looking to maximize the revenue. All right. If it says we're looking to maximize, that that's the maximum, right? So the difference, though, is it's not the maximum value. It's asking what unit price P. Well, if we look at our function, P is where the x values are. For the x value of the maximum, okay? Brian, you gave the y value, I'm pretty sure, right? So when you do that, this one I could almost do quicker without Desmos. It's opposite of B over 2A. So that's negative 1900 over negative 1/2 times 2. So that's negative 1900 over negative 1, which is just that 1900. Okay. Any questions on that? Sometimes you get functions that kind of look like that, where a little bit different in how they are. They're not being kind of thrown kind of thing, but it still works out. Same 4 points are what they could ask you about. So the other thing is you can sometimes get graphs asking you which function or which expression or equation matches the graph. All right, so there's several different ways we can look at this. I'll start with what I think is the easiest thing always. Is that a smiley face or a frowny face? Frowny face. All right. If it's a frowny face, what we're looking at is we want a negative for our A value. C and D do not have the negative. It eliminates. In most cases, not always, but most cases, you can eliminate 2 of the answer choices that way. All right, so we got that part first. Always look, smiley face, frowny face. Then the next easiest thing is the y-intercept. In this problem, it doesn't really help, but our y-intercept is right there. That's at positive 8. That means we should have a plus 8, which each of those do for the C value. Okay. Like I said, doesn't really help on this one. Then the other thing you're looking for are your zeros. All right, so we got zeros of -2 and +4. What that means, you got 2 options then. You can graph A and B on those zeros correctly. If you do that, I'll tell you what, y'all go ahead and do that. Graph both of those. When you get them on Desmos, they'll show up 2 different colors. It's a little easier to see which one's which. All right, so when you do that, what you see is A is going to be your correct answer, right? A, the graph looks like that there. For B, and obviously my picture won't be ideal, but it looks more like that, where it's crossing at -4 and +2, right? So that's one way you can do it. The other way you can do it is you can factor out a negative. So if we factor out a negative, I'd have a negative times x squared minus 2x minus 8 for A. For B, I'd have a negative and then x squared plus 2x minus 8. And you just got to go and you got to factor those. So if you're doing this without a calculator, that would be the way you need to do this, is factoring. When we factor A here, we got a negative C value, so that means the signs have to be different. The bigger number has to be negative because B is negative. So what that means is our factors there would be x minus 4, x plus 2, with that negative out in front. For B, still got the negative out in front. It's the opposite. It's still got different signs, but the bigger number has to be positive, so that has to be the plus 4. And then that has to be the minus 2. And remember, what we're looking for are the zeros, and when we're looking for the zeros, we got to change those signs, and that's why A becomes a +4 and a -2, whereas B is the -4 and +2. Everybody kind of follow? Any questions on that? Obviously, Desmos a little bit easier, right?